The sound of the private jet engine shaking in the cold night air made everyone nervous. Workers rushed across the runway. Mechanics argued with each other. Expensive tools were scattered everywhere. And standing near the massive jet was Billionaire CEO Richard Lawson, a man famous for humiliating employees when things went wrong. "This plane must leave in 1 hour," he shouted. "I already lost 2 days because of this useless machine." The jet had suddenly failed during an important business trip. 5 expert teams had tried to repair it. Nobody could solve the problem. Every minute was costing thousands of dollars. Then Richard noticed a man quietly cleaning the hangar floor nearby. The man looked ordinary. Worn jeans, old boots, a faded jacket with oil stains on the sleeves. He was holding a lunchbox in one hand. Richard laughed bitterly and pointed at him. "You there. The janitor." The workers froze. The man slowly turned around. "Yes, sir." Richard smirked. "I'll bet $1 million you couldn't fix this jet." Everyone laughed. But the man didn't. He simply looked at the aircraft for a long moment. Then he asked softly, "What happens if I do fix it?" The crowd became silent. Richard crossed his arms. "Then the money is yours." The man nodded once. "Okay." And 5 minutes later, everything started to change. Before we continue, if you enjoy emotional stories about kindness, hope, and second chances, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Welcome to Kindness Unlimited, where one small act of kindness can change a life forever. The janitor's name was Daniel Brooks. Most people at the airport barely noticed him. He worked nights cleaning the hangar while raising his 8-year-old daughter alone. His wife had passed away 3 years earlier after a long illness, leaving Daniel to become both father and mother overnight. Every morning, after work, he walked his daughter Lily to school before sleeping a few hours and starting all over again. Life had not been easy. But Daniel never complained. While the workers whispered and laughed, Daniel slowly walked around the jet. His eyes studied every detail carefully. One mechanic rolled his eyes. "This is ridiculous." Another muttered, "The CEO has finally lost his mind." Richard stood nearby, clearly amused. Daniel climbed the small ladder beside the engine and listened quietly. Then he asked one simple question. "When was the fuel pressure valve replaced?" The mechanics looked at each other. One answered, 3 months ago. Daniel nodded slowly. "Who installed it?" Now the workers looked uncomfortable. Richard's smile faded slightly. Daniel carefully opened a side panel and pointed toward a tiny damaged connector hidden deep inside the system. "This part is cracked," he said calmly. The vibration disconnected the pressure signal. "The computer thinks the engine is overheating, so it shuts everything down." Silence covered the hangar. One mechanic immediately checked the part. His face turned pale. "He's right." Another worker stared in disbelief. "How did you even see that?" Daniel stepped down quietly. "I used to work on aircraft engines years ago." Richard blinked hard. "Used to?" Daniel nodded. "I was an aerospace engineer." Nobody spoke. The billionaire CEO suddenly looked embarrassed. "What happened?" Richard asked quietly. Daniel hesitated for a moment. "My wife got sick. I left my job to take care of her and our daughter. Medical bills took everything we had. After she passed away, I just needed work fast. The airport offered me a cleaning job." For the first time that night, Richard Lawson looked uncomfortable. The billionaire was known for making ruthless business deals. He judged people by appearance, status, and money. And now the man he mocked in front of everyone had solved a problem that million-dollar experts could not. Within 20 minutes, the damaged connector was replaced. The engine roared back to life perfectly. The workers burst into applause. Richard stood frozen beside the jet. Then slowly, he reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "I keep my bets," he said. Daniel shook his head immediately. "I don't want your money." The workers stared at him in shock. Richard frowned. "Why not?" Daniel looked down at his rough hands. "Because I wasn't trying to embarrass you. I just wanted to help." Those words hit harder than anyone expected. Especially Richard. For a long moment, the billionaire said nothing. Then he quietly asked, "What do you really want?" Daniel smiled gently. I just want enough time with my daughter. Something inside Richard changed at that moment. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was shame. Or maybe, for the first time in years, someone had shown him kindness without asking for anything in return. The next morning, Daniel arrived at work expecting another normal shift. Instead, the airport manager rushed toward him holding papers. You need to come to the main office immediately. Daniel's heart dropped. He feared he was being fired. But when he entered the office, Richard Lawson was sitting there waiting. Beside him was a contract. Richard stood up slowly. I made some calls last night, he said. Your engineering license is still valid. Daniel looked confused. Richard continued, my aviation company needs a lead maintenance director. The salary is 5 times what you earn now. Full health care. Flexible hours. Daniel stared silently. Richard took a deep breath. And there's something else. He slid another paper across the table. It was the deed to a small house near Lily School. Daniel's hands trembled. I can't accept this. Yes, you can, Richard said softly. Daniel looked at him carefully. Why are you doing this? The billionaire's eyes lowered toward the floor. Because for years, I forgot how to see people. Last night, the man everyone ignored treated me with more respect than I deserved. Daniel became emotional. Richard cleared his throat and smiled awkwardly. You reminded me that kindness matters more than status. Weeks later, Daniel and Lily moved into their new home. For the first time in years, Lily had her own bedroom painted bright yellow, her favorite color. Daniel tucked her into bed one night, and she smiled up at him. Daddy, she whispered, are we finally okay? Daniel kissed her forehead gently. Yes, sweetheart. We are. Meanwhile, Richard Lawson slowly changed too. Employees noticed he stopped yelling at workers. He started learning names. He even created a fund to help struggling families at the company. One small act of kindness had changed 2 lives. Maybe even hundreds more. Because kindness works that way. Sometimes the smallest moment, the smallest choice to help someone, can become the turning point in a person's entire life. The world often teaches us to judge people by clothes, jobs, or money. But every person you meet is carrying a story you cannot see. The quiet janitor may once have been an engineer. The tired single parent may be fighting battles nobody knows about. And the powerful CEO may simply be someone who forgot what truly matters. Kindness has the power to remind people who they are. So the next time you have a chance to help someone, encourage someone, or simply treat someone with respect, do it. Because you never know how deeply one act of kindness can change a human heart. And sometimes, the greatest miracles begin just 5 minutes after someone decides to care.